Yo, what is up, everybody? So let's go back again. Another chapter from the story titled Some Houses Bleed, written by Jacob Harris. Remember to use the links in the description below. Show love to the author, like, comment, and subscribe. Chapter 11. Ray made it home after his venture into town. He wasted no time taking his bag of supplies to the living room couch to come up with the battle plan. Contents of Ray's bag were little more than several rolls of duct tape. Okay, if I wrap up those pipes tightly enough, then it should stop the banging. I saw them do it one time in those house renovating shows. I mean, I fell asleep while watching it, so it could have been a dream, but I'm confident this will work. An above-average-sized yawn escaped from Ray. They're a little tired from last night. Maybe I'll take a little cat nap before I get started. Ray laid himself down on the couch, closed his eyes. It took him no time at all to fall fast asleep. Still quite obsessed with the mystery that was Ray, Jessie was at home, glued to her computer. She had read about every article and watched numerous videos on the houses Ray had once called his home. The more she researched, the more frustrated Jessie became. She had nowhere near the nerve to ask Ray what his deal was, but she had come to a dead end with her investigation. Why? Why do you keep moving into these houses, Ray? Jessie had Googled an address and read most of the articles about it, but an article at the bottom of the search had gone unread. Its title seemed strange, even for a haunted house article. Haunted no more? With newfound energy, Jessie began reading the article. It began like all the other articles, explaining the lore of the house and the experiences of former house owners. But, unlike the other articles Jessie had began reading, this one went on to explain how and all paranormal activity had ceased. Jessie eagerly clicked on the video link attached to the article. As she watched the video, an interview with an old man piqued her interest. House used to be haunted, not anymore. The damnedest thing. For years, all you heard was how bad the house was. Now, nothing. Jessie eagerly typed in another address. Like with the last one, she found unread articles at the bottom of the search. The current house she was investigating had been the former home of one of Ohio's worst serial killers. This article, too, had a video. We really couldn't afford to rent any of the other houses in this area, so we had no choice but to rent this place. We heard the stories and hoped that they were just stories. We've been here for almost 6 months now, and nothing has happened. The perfectly normal house, said a woman. Jessie Googled another address, and after reading the article, he watched a video of a pair of paranormal investigators recording their findings. There's nothing here. Yeah, the house is completely clean. From all the stories we heard about this place, we expected to find more than enough evidence to declare this place being haunted. There wasn't a trace of paranormal activity. Someone must have busted all the ghosts before we got here. Jessie continued to scan articles and watch videos. As odd as it was to discover that Ray had lived in so many haunted houses, It was just as odd to find that those houses were now considered to no longer be haunted. Brought my kids here last summer to scare them for being bad in school. We didn't find no ghosts here. All we found was a bunch of bullshit. With night quickly approaching, Ray decided to get the task of fixing the pipe before it got too late. He whipped open the door to the basement and was about to take a step onto the stairs that no longer existed, but something stopped him. Flipped on the light switch, but the room remained dark. Fortunately for Ray, he had a flashlight with him. Ray shined it downward and was shocked to find his stairs lying in ruins on the basement floor. What the hell happened here? Termites? Ray left, but returned shortly after with a very long ladder. It was just as old and rickety as the stairs had been, but it was far better than nothing. Ray placed it in the basement and ever so carefully began climbing down. This is good. You're getting stuff done. Ray was unaware that Agnes was waiting for him at the bottom of the ladder. Before Ray knew it, the ladder had begun to tip over and was now on its way down. Ray jumped off, but hit his head on the ground quite hard. The bag of supplies that he had been carrying were flung all the way to the other side of the basement. But the worst part about the accident was that Ray had fallen on a very sharp piece of wood, which had plunged deep into his side. The pain Ray felt as he was removing it was excruciating. I told you to buy a new ladder, but you just had to be cheap. Thoughts of Lacey began filling Ray's mind as he slowly slipped into unconsciousness. They were all happier times of either smiling or laughing, and that made Ray smile. The thoughts took an awful turn immediately as Ray was forced to watch his most horrible moment. Ray, who was covered from head to toe in his own blood, had just forced a large knife into Lacey's chest. Ray snapped out of his stupor and began crawling as best as he could toward the other end of the basement. Light above him began to flicker. To call for help. Bet that dumb superstitious cop is gonna show up and start wagging his finger at me. I told you this place is haunted. Most accidents in the home happen due to stupidity, not ghosts. Yeah, that'll shut him up. Agnes was near the fallen ladder, watching Ray intently. Whispers began filling the room. This place is too drafty. I have to replace the weather stripping before winter comes. The basement began to shake. And I'm on a fault line? Will my bad luck ever end? Woe is me. Ray had to stop crawling as he grew ever closer to passing out. He was temporarily snapped out of his lethargic state when he heard Lacey's voice in his head. Kill them, Raymond. Kill them all. Lacey's voice grew more irate with each command she gave. Kill them, Raymond. Kill them all, kill them all, kill them all. Ray was able to stand up and hobble a few steps. Wet patches on the ground from where Warren and Estill had met their fates caught his attention. Unable to support his own weight any longer, Ray crashed to his knees and began crawling again. I have to finish the job. Do it for the resale value. Like a hungry predator stalking its prey, Agnes began making her way toward Ray. Where'd that duct tape go? Fixing this house no matter what, even if it kills me. Raymond. Damn, this house is drafty. Ray reached his bag of supplies. He was able to get to a kneeling position and began rummaging. The amount of blood he had lost was making it difficult for Ray to keep his focus. Duct tape fixes all. That's what I always say. Agnes was now within striking distance of Ray. Closing his eyes, Ray heard Lacey's voice once again. I love you, Raymond. Only Lacey gets to call me Raymond, said Ray. With the speed of a viper striking unsuspecting prey, Ray turned around to face Agnes. His eyes were now glowing a bright yellow. In less than a blink of an eye, Ray was upon her. A most horrific scream burst from Agnes, but it didn't last long. Ray absorbed the witch into his body in the matter of only a few short seconds. Utterly exhausted from the ordeal, Ray fell flat on his back, his arms stretched out to his side. The bulb, which had always been flickering now, illuminated the entire basement. One last memory of Lacey came to Ray at that moment. After he had fatally stabbed his wife, the two of them fell to the ground in their basement, which was clearly eerily similar to the one Ray had in his new house. They both had their arms stretched out wide, their hands touching. Ray looked at his wife, but there was no longer any sign of life in her eyes. Tears now forming in his eyes, Ray shook out of his daydreaming state. Guess I went a tad heavy on the acting this time. You think? Said Lacey, who was now lying next to Ray, just like in his memory. She looked no worse for wear, and there was no sign of any knife in her chest. Woe is me? What were you thinking? I improvised. Never deviate from the script, Raymond. Told you that time and time again. Yeah, this was a tough one. I did everything to get her to drop her guard. You did great. Our jobs aren't over yet. There are lots of houses out here that need to be cleaned. I don't care if there's a million more houses. As long as you're here with me, I can do anything. I will always be with you, Raymond. I love you. When Ray turned his head to look at his wife, she was gone. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of chapter 11.